what's going on?
Hello, hello, hello. Well, this is new and exciting, isn't it? Well, you're here, I'm here, let's get straight into it. Welcome to the first episode of my brand new podcast, Zoo's Reviews, the podcast where we discuss the latest and greatest in music, movies, and media. Basically, if I find it cool or interesting, then I'm going to talk about it. Simple as. Every month, listeners are invited to submit their own music for review on the show. All you have to do is send your links to me on Instagram at official_Zurra. If you don't make music but you want to contribute to the show, you're more than welcome to send through some quick fire topics which we will tackle at the end of each episode. Now, if you're tuning in and you have absolutely no idea who I am, allow me to introduce myself. I'll give you a bit of a background on who I am, what I do, and why you should listen to the podcast. So, my name is Adam. I've been working professionally as a DJ and music producer since 2016 under the name Zurra. And in that time, I've been fortunate enough to tour the UK, perform internationally. I've had my music played by some of the biggest names on the planet: Calvin Harris, David Guetta, Tiesto, Diplo, many, many more. But it hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows. I got to admit, it's been a turbulent ride, but that's the music industry, you know. I'll be 30 in a couple of weeks. And honestly, I am hungrier than ever. So how's that for an intro? I'm out for blood in 2025. So hence all the crazy new content. So obviously we've got the podcast, we've got the radio show, we've got House Party, we've got Mixed by Zurra, Remixed by Zurra, which is going to be dropping very soon as well. So loads of cool stuff. Like I said, I'm hungrier than ever. So if you're tuning in and this is your first exposure to who I am and what I do, welcome. Stick around for the ride. There's a lot of interesting things that you can get involved in. So this being one of them. So stick around and we'll get into the first few topics in just a second. But yeah, over the coming months, I'll be inviting some very interesting guests and good friends of mine onto the show to discuss topics submitted by yourselves, the listeners, and just to talk absolute bollocks with in general. How does that sound? Just a small bit of housekeeping before we get into the first topic. If you're listening via YouTube and you haven't done so already, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It really does make a huge difference. And if you're tuning in on SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Spotify, then make sure you add this to your favorites and likes. And don't be afraid to follow me for more in future. So the first thing I want to get into today is I just want to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to everyone showing support for my latest single, my first single of 2025, titled What's Going On. It came out at the end of January on a brand new label called Club Whatever. And, it's always a bit of a risk when you're working with brand new labels because, they haven't got a proven track record. You don't know who they're connected with, you don't know what their contacts are like, and what resources they have at their disposal. But my experience with Club Whatever has been absolutely fantastic. They've been great, communication's been fantastic, assets have been great, and yeah, they've just been a really, really good label to work with. So I'm really looking forward to working with them more in future. But what's going on? I mean, where to start? I'm super, super grateful for everyone that's been playing this one, but we've had some support from house music royalty like MK. Benny Benassi played it over the weekend as well. I've been listening to Benny Benassi for most of my life, so that's absolutely mind-blowing as well. Rave icon Slipmat has been spinning it as well. Kiss FM UK, Radio 1, they've been giving it a spin, so thank you very much to every single person that's been playing it, either out as a DJ or just listening to it in your own personal space. It really does mean a lot. This record actually, I'm not going to say that it took a long time to make, but it is an amalgamation of like a million different ideas that I had going on in different projects, as opposed to, getting it done in one. So initially I used the kind of the template, like the drums and stuff like that, and a lot of elements that you don't actually hear in the final product, but I was using it as an exercise to get myself out of writer's block. So here's a little tip, for any producers that are listening: whenever you do have writer's block, try making something that you would never normally make. For me, I was trying to make like late 90s, early 2000s traditional tech house with basically no vocal, very percussive, a kind of like tom bass and stuff like that. So I was trying to make something very different to what I normally make. And it worked. I managed to get like a 7-minute track down, but it wasn't releasable. Like, I never actually had the intention of putting that version of the track out. It wasn't until I put the vocal in that I was like, actually, this has got legs. So the vocal is just a couple of different, cuts that I found from two separate sample packs on, I think one was on Loop Cloud and one was on Splice. Splice, being the devil and all that. But, if you're using the vocals creatively, then why not? It's there to be used. So yeah, you've got the what's going on, and then the right now. So I just put them two together. Um, and yeah, just messed around with them really. So yeah, once the vocal went in there, I was like, yo, okay, this is actually a really cool idea, but it doesn't sound like me. So is it worth pursuing? I decided yes. So what I decided to do is decided to kind of deconstruct what I had in there already and start adding in elements that would typically make it a Zurra track, like the kind of repetitive bass notes and stuff like that, the 16th notes on the bass, adding some cool rave stabs in there. I love brass, so like having a big horn on the second and third drop, that for me is like, I can't remember exactly what tune I heard that in for the first time, but to me, that's synonymous with tech house, traditional tech house. So I try and incorporate and kind of pay homage to that sound in my productions when I put that horn on the drop. Um, what else? What else was there? I mean, yeah, I changed the drums quite a bit. Initially it was way more percussive led, to the point where I almost didn't need a bass line because the percussion that I'd put in there was kind of the driving factor. But yeah, I decided to strip all of that out, kind of simplify the drum pattern, the drum groove, and stuff like that, make it a lot simpler, and just have some kind of like weird effects going on in the background and stuff like that. And then, yeah, after that, after a little bit of shimmying around, which, I mean, to be honest, I say a little bit of shimmying around. Again, it still took many forms before getting to this version. I think I had a version with like a really deep driving, old school Solado style bass line as well. That didn't really fit the bill. I also tried something a little bit more organy. So I got the M1 plugin out, and I tried, making something a little bit faster tempo. I changed the tempo to I think like 134, and tried doing something like that. And yeah, that didn't really work for me anyway. And I thought, well, if I'm going to release it, it needs to kind of be something that people would expect me to release, but also in a fresh and an exciting way. And as soon as I got the final version down, I knew that this is what I wanted to kick off my 2025 campaign with. So Club Whatever, they picked it up. I was very, very grateful. They actually reached out to me towards the end of 2024. They were very complimentary on my stuff, and they said, look, we'd love to hear some demos from you. That was the only one I actually had available at the time because I was in negotiations with other labels with a lot of my other demos, and I was kind of holding a few things to myself just as like personal dubs as well. So that there's a lot of value in that as well. You don't have to ship out all your demos at once. You can hold on to things, and it can kind of gain a bit of value there, which um, I'll kind of elaborate on that on a later episode because there's a tune that I have coming out this year, which is a testament to that. So yeah, we'll hold that thought for now. But yeah, as soon as we got the release date in, I was super excited. I was just like, this is the perfect tune to kick off 2025. So yeah, like to wrap things up, I mean, what's going on? I was not expecting it to get anywhere near as much support, especially on radio. While we're on the topic, actually, I was made aware the other day via Song Stats. I believe Song Stats is run by the same people that look after 1001 Tracklist, but I've actually entered the top overall chart on 1001 Tracklist, which is slightly different to like Beatport and stuff. It's not based on sales, it's not based on streams. This is based purely on DJ support. So how many DJs are playing your music, and at the moment, at the time of this recording anyway, we're sitting at 62nd in the chart, which means that what's going on is the 62nd most supported track by DJs on the planet right now. When you think about how much music is out there, 62nd is pretty fucking crazy. Excuse my language, but there's going to be plenty more of that. But it's crazy, absolutely wild. So yeah, that's the cherry on top really at the minute, and I have no doubt that it'll pick up more support. It seems to be kind of snowballing at the moment. It's been out for almost a month, but kind of in the later stages, it started picking up more support, more plays on radio, more DJs are playing it. Benny Benassi's only just played it this past weekend. People like A-Craze have picked it up as well. So I think that it's going to continue to snowball. So hopefully we can keep pushing it up that chart. But 62nd most supported track in the world by DJs right now. That's crazy. That's crazy. So we'll leave that one there for now. Yeah, just to wrap it up, obviously a massive thank you to everyone supporting what's going on. Yeah, super, super excited to see how much more we can achieve with this one. But also, we got to start ramping up for the next single of 2025, which we'll get into in just a bit. But first, I want to go over a gig that I played at the weekend in Bath, and kind of give it a review. So when I'm reviewing things on the show, you're going to hear me using a rating system. You know how like movies get ranked out of 5 stars. Well, I'm going to review everything and rate it out of 5 zoos. Okay, 5 being the best thing in the world, 1 being meh. You know, a bit dead kind of thing. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing my recent performance at the Common Room in Bath. So big ups to Jake from Select Sounds for hooking this one up, by the way. He told me, look, this is a super intimate venue, but it's one of the funnest gigs I've ever done in my life. And I know that you're going to have a wicked time. So, what I love about intimate venues is that there's no hiding behind big production. There's no hiding behind, you know, a big stage or a huge DJ booth or anything like that. You're in and amongst it. You're literally there with the punters. You got people that can literally reach out and touch you. If they want, yeah, you've got to be a participant. You've got to be an active participant, which I think is lost on a lot of DJs now because clubs, festivals, events have got so big and they're at such a large scale now that that kind of connection seems to be missing nowadays. So this venue for me was really refreshing. I've played to some big crowds, but you can't beat intimacy. You can't beat the small scale events. I think they're so important. I was hosting a bunch of events in 2024 called The List, something that we're looking to bring back actually in 2025. But we were onto an absolute winner with the venue that we used to work with, the Oliver Cromwell in St Ives. Big ups to Joey and Gemma. They really kind of let us do whatever we wanted. And honestly, I don't think we'll ever find a venue that gives us as much as creative freedom as they did. So, but yeah, we're working on it. Anyway, back to the Common Room. So, yeah, really small, intimate vibes. Got there, and the place was smaller than I even anticipated. I knew that it was going to be small, but I didn't realize how small it was going to be. I got there, set up and everything, and then boom, as soon as the music hit, the place just erupted. Um, it was such a good vibe, honestly. I was really surprised. Bath is kind of, I'm based in Bristol, and I always consider Bath to be the kind of preppy, older brother, the well-behaved older brother of Bristol. But don't get me wrong, Bath is a vibe. There's definitely a vibe there for sure. And it's not like Bristol at all. Bristol, it's a bit down and dirty. Since I've moved to Bristol, I've seen it kind of decline a little bit, but I still love it so much. It's my favourite city in the UK, and Bath has all the best qualities of Bristol, but none of the negative ones, seemingly, which is quite cool. So started off with some really cool groovy disco edits and stuff like that. Moved into house, ended with garage. That's literally, my ideal night, playing disco, house, and garage. That's pretty cool, right? And everyone was loving it. Everyone was loving it. Everyone was very vocal. Everyone was very active on the dance floor. And it was just a really good time. I was actually really surprised. By the end of the night, I think I finished at 3 a.m. Like, I wanted to keep going. The crowd wanted me to keep going. Obviously the bar staff wanted to get home. They're knackered. But I could have easily gone on for another 3 hours. I wasn't tired at all. I was having a wicked time. And I'd love to go back there. I'd absolutely love to go back there and perform again. So yeah, once again, big ups to Jake for hooking that one up. Really surprised. Really surprised. That is Bath's best kept secret, I think. So I'm gonna I'm improvising here, really, with the rating system, and I'm sure that there will be something a little bit more solid in place further down the line. But if we kind of like break it down into like subsections, and then we'll give it an overall rating. How does that sound? So we'll start with the DJ booth. DJ booth, I'm gonna have to give 2 out of 5 zoos, only because it was super claustrophobic. It was like just right in the corner, tucked in, no space, literally no space to operate. It barely had enough space for the decks plus me. And it's just, yeah, really condensed. I'm not claustrophobic, but I don't really like tight spaces. I'm a growing boy. For me, yeah, the DJ booth was, probably the weakest link. So yeah, 2 out of 5 zoos for the DJ booth. We'll go with like production as well. So production, I will say I'll give it 3 out of 5 zoos because there is definitely a vibe there. Even though the DJ booth kind of let things down, there's definitely a vibe with where the DJ's positioned and in the kind of, the main dance section. They've got all these cool, like, disco ball effect things going on. A huge disco ball just above the DJ, lights pointed at it and stuff. So, that's creating a cool effect. The walls are lighting up and stuff. They've got this kind of like cool stained glass, mosaic thing going on. And I just thought, yeah, this is wicked. This is unlike any other venue that I've ever played at. Usually it's just all kind of like, it's all just like lights and, bells and whistles and all that stuff. But I love the simplicity of this. And again, overall production, really the only thing letting it down is the DJ booth. So I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 zoos for overall production. And the sound for the place actually was really, really good. I was really surprised by the quality of the sound. So yeah, that I'm going to keep it at 3 out of 5 zoos for overall production, but the sound was really impressive once we got the sub going anyway. It took a little while to figure that one out, but eventually the staff intervened, got the sub on, and then we were really kicking. And then overall vibe, yeah, this I'm going to give 4.5 out of 5 zoos because it was a vibe. It was wicked. It was absolutely wicked. I need people to go there because it's really hard to explain. The dance floor, literally, I don't think you could get any more than 10 people on the dance floor. That's how small we're talking. But people tried. People tried to cram on more. And even the section that isn't available for people to dance in was packed out with people dancing. And yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So overall vibe, I'm going to give, in fact, I'm going to give 4 out of 5 zoos. I think that's fair. 4.5, I think that just the position of the DJ booth for me, I don't think it's in the most efficient space. I don't think it's in the most efficient location for the size of the dance floor. I think that you could easily fit more people in if you make some adjustments to that DJ booth. So I'm going to actually give it 4 out of 5 zoos. Overall, it's going to get 4 out of 5 zoos because, yeah, it was really fun. It was really, really fun. The clientele, the people that were there were just having a wicked time. There were no unreasonable requests. There was one dickhead who I'm not going to out, but he knows who he is. So if he ends up listening to this at some point, he's going to know that I'm talking about him. But there was only one dickhead, which is actually really, really rare. Usually you have a whole bunch of them, but there was only one. So, the venue has got a really good customer base, a really well-behaved customer base that appreciate good music. So that really does count for something. So common room, Bath, yeah, 4 out of 5 zoos. Really, really enjoyed it. Absolutely loved every second of it. And I would love to go back there again and do it. Or even host an event there. Maybe that could be the new place for the list because they've got a late license. Again, it's really small, intimate vibes. In fact, that's giving me an idea. Let's leave that there for now. Let's leave that there. But anyway, common room, Bath, 4 out of 5 zoos. Really, really wicked night. Cool. So we're going to move into the music review section of the show. So like I mentioned before, everyone is invited to submit music for review on the show. You can be a first-time producer, you can be an established artist, you can be someone who's just giving it a go. It can be unreleased, it can be something that's been out for a while, it can be a work in progress, a 30-second clip, an 8-bar loop, whatever. If you want to get some honest feedback, then fire it away. Fire it away. This is the place to do it. This is the place to get some feedback from an industry professional. I promise I will be constructive. I promise that I will be firm. And my comments will be fair as well. And I'm not here to shoot anyone down. That's the main thing. I'm not here to make anyone feel upset. Or to kind of crush anyone's dreams. But if I don't think that it's as good as it can be, I'm gonna let you know. And I think that honesty is the best policy when it comes to stuff like this. So let's get straight into it. We've got one here from Contrukt. He's a UKG producer, part of the Audio Wave Records collective. And he sent us an edit of About Damn Time by Lizzo. So without further ado, we've got the Contrukt remix of About Damn Time by Lizzo. Let's get into it. Love the organ action already. Proper garage vibes. Okay. Ooh. Switch up, okay. Ooh. Oh. I love that, by the way. I love that. This is so garage. This is so garage. What a vibe. Ooh. Hang about. Where are we going here?
Turn up the music, turn down the lights. I got a feeling I'm gonna be alright, okay, alright. It's about damn time. Turn up the music, let's celebrate. I got a feeling I'm gonna be okay, alright. It's about damn time. Turn up the music, turn down the lights. I got a feeling I'm gonna be alright, okay, alright. It's about damn time. Turn up the music, let's celebrate. I got a feeling I'm gonna be okay, alright. It's about damn time. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Feeling fussy, walking in my
Okay.
trying to bring out the
Okay, cool.
Cause I give a fuck way too much. I'ma need like 2 shots in my cup. Wanna get up, wanna get down. That's how I feel right now.
I'll tell you what, we're going to stop it there because I've got a feeling it's just going to kind of circle back round and do those sections again. But I will listen to it in full, just not here because I'm just conscious of time. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in there, man. There's a lot of cool stuff. For me, there's too many different garage flavors happening at the same time. The drums and the organ at the start sound like they could be their own thing. The chords that come in sound like they could be their own thing. I really loved the I don't even know what the instrument is. I suppose it's like a bell. The dun, 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 dun. That's so cool. I love that. That's proper. And you know what? With the different vibes you got going on in there, that works on both the kind of more garagey stuff, the kind of earlier stuff in the track, which I think is more of a garagey flavour with the organ. It works with that, and it also works with the kind of later, like 1p bassliney kind of vibe that you go with as well. So that sound would work regardless of the direction you're going. The M1 piano, I'm assuming is an M1. It definitely sounds like an M1 piano. For me, it's just like it's such a iconic sound, right? Same with the organ. But I don't think it works in everything. That's the thing. So for me, I think sound selection is where this could be improved. Definitely sound selection. Just trying to think. Yeah, it's just for me, the idea is wicked. The idea is wicked. I just think that there's too many different things going on. I don't think it's got a proper identity. You couldn't call this a bassline tune. You couldn't really call it a garage tune. It fits under the umbrella of UKG, but it's taking a lot of influences from different styles within the umbrella of UKG. I would say try and find the identity of this track. That is super important. Like, is it going to be a more kind of two-steppy garage track? Could you maybe switch the drums up a little bit? Or is it going to be more of like a bassliney speed garage whomper? It's a balancing act, though. It's a balancing act, and for me, this is just my opinion. You might feel like you've got the perfect balance of all those elements. And if that's the case, congrats, dude. Because like I think that this is wicked, and I think it's going to work in the clubs big time for sure. With the drop, just get straight into it. Whack the drums in. I don't think that we need the womps on their own. I think that actually takes away from the impact because the build up. You can tell that there's a switch up going on, and then it builds up, and then you've just got the womps. You've got no drums complementing the womps. Just bring the drums straight in, man. Just bring the drums straight in. Honestly, I think that by not having the drums in straight away, you're actually taking away from the impact of the drop. So yeah, I'm gonna give this 3 out of 5 zoos because I think that the ideas are wicked. I don't know if all the ideas make sense in the same track. So I think that you still need to find the lane that this is going to go down. Like, what's the actual track identity? Is it speed garage? Is it bassline? Is it going to be two-steppy, garagey, UKG flavors? I'm not 100% sure what I would call it. And that in itself is pretty cool because, there's, something unique about it. But yeah, I think that it's lacking a bit of identity at the moment. And also the kind of the false drop that you've got going in there actually takes away from the impact of the drop section entirely. So yeah, 3 out of 5 zoos, a really, really good effort. I think it's going to work on the dance floor for sure. Do I think it's the best version of this track that it could possibly be? No, I think that there's definitely some room for improvement, but it's a wicked foundation to build on. So yeah, massive. So again, that was Contrukt with his remix of About Damn Time by Lizzo. Cool. Next up, we're going to move into, oh, hello. Sorry, I'm just checking the submissions that we got. We got one from the big bad Jude Specter. Now, Jude is an absolute legend. He is never afraid to ask questions when it comes to music. I feel like I'm constantly answering questions from Jude. But honestly, the dude's the sweetest guy on the planet. And his passion for music is so evident. He actually came and played for us at the List last June in Bristol. I'm not joking, right? I didn't know what to expect because this was his first gig. He'd never DJ'd before. He destroyed it. Absolutely killed it. His set was wicked. Not just from my point of view, but I was getting feedback from other people, people that I didn't even know, people that had just paid to be there and, bought tickets and stuff were saying he was like the highlight of the night. And I was playing. Like, come on, guys, come on. Don't say it to my face like that. But yeah, honestly, he was unbelievable. And now he started to delve into the world of music production, which is really exciting. Now, he sent me a few notes related to this track, so I'm just going to get those up quickly. So, this is going to be coming out on Cease and Desist Records. Cease and Desist, by the way, is run by Alpha J, who is absolutely lovely. Really, really supportive dude. I headlined for his first event last year at Basement 45 in Bristol. Original hype fam. Just a lovely, lovely dude. And now that he's venturing into the world of running a record label, radio show, I believe he's going to have his own podcast as well. I'm super excited for him. So this is going to be coming out on the 14th of March on Cease and Desist Records. It's a collaboration with BXN. The track has already received positive feedback from artists such as Burner, Loz Seca, and Doc Brown. And has been described as groovy, high energy, and dark. Wow, talk about a press pack. Cheers, Jude. Okay, this one is called Break It Down. Let's get into it. Drums already sound fantastic. Super tight, but still with that weight. Break it down like. Man, that bass groove is so cool. It's got a bit of a Mal P vibe to it. Yeah, this sounds really cool. Really, really cool. Nice plucks. Good progression. Acidy influence in the background there.
In this life, I just want to be happy.
Don't we all, mate?
And make the people dance.
Nice. Love that. Yeah, I'm going to start playing this in my sets. This is awesome. Like I said, proper Mal P vibe.
Break it down like this. 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 Break it down like.
Oh man, this is cool. There's so much variation. No 8 bars feel the same, which is so difficult in house music as well. Lots of cool effects, lots of variation. I think the groove, the overall vibe is just damn. I love this.
You know.
Okay, cool. We'll
I just want to be happy.
Okay, cool. We'll stop it there. Dance music, you know, you can kind of tell what's going to happen next and where it's going to go. I will listen to the track in its entirety, but just not on here. You know, again, like I mentioned with the Contrukt tune, just conscious of time. But yeah, sounds really cool, man. Jude, I'm super impressed. Super impressed. I've actually heard a version of this before, maybe a year ago. Gave some feedback then, and the tune just sounds so much tighter and so much better now. I'm really pleased for you, mate, because this is a wicked record. I will definitely play this in my sets. Like I mentioned, it's got a bit of a Mal P vibe to it, right? So when I say that obviously, you know, that can be a compliment. And I meant that as a compliment because he's one of the best producers on the planet at the minute in terms of like original dance music. But I think that also has to be taken with a grain of salt because it's kind of lacking its own sonic aesthetic, its own identity. Kind of what I mentioned with Contrukt. There's a lack of originality there. I don't think that there's any ideas in this track that are particularly groundbreaking. Or new or original. I think that it's a very safe track and a track that I think will get a lot of support from DJs because the drum groove, the bass groove, the vocal, the saw on the drop, they're all elements that are tried and tested. They work on the dance floor. They get good reactions. So I don't think you'll have any issues with DJs playing this track. I just don't think it has anything in there that is entirely original or forward thinking. But that doesn't mean it's a bad track. It's a great track. I really like it. In fact, I'm giving it 4 out of 5 zoos. It's awesome. It's a really cool track. The only reason it's not getting 5 out of 5 zoos is because there's a lack of originality in there. You know, a lot of the elements in there are just tried and tested, things that work, things that have been heard before. But that doesn't mean it's a bad track. That means, for me, the ideas that are in there just aren't. I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want this to be taken as a negative. I want this to be taken constructively for you to think about in your next. By the way, this is his first production. This is his first track. That's got to count for something as well. You know, the fact that you're able to put something as professional and as polished as this for your first release, that definitely goes a long way in my books, mate. So yeah, 4 out of 5 zoos. To make it 5 in future, it just needs something a little bit more original going on. Something that I haven't heard before. But yeah, really wicked track. That one's titled Break It Down, coming out on the 14th of March on Cease and Desist Records with BXN. Jude Specter, thank you very much for sending that in, mate. Really pleased. Finally, the last music submission we're going to get into this week is actually from a new album released by Andy Tudor. Now, he told me that I can have any pick. Any tune off the album I'm going to take a listen to. So let's have a little scroll and see what we can find. Okay, this seems as good a place as any to stop. This is Judas by Andy Tudor. This is off his latest album titled Shokunin. Here we go. Let's take a little listen.
Falling for a con man in plain sight. Wish to disassociate my mind.
Drum and bass, okay. Love a bit of D&B. Oh, by the way, vocals are really cool, man. Vocals are really cool. Man, this is nice. I'm going to let this run for a little bit because drum and bass, I don't know, it's refreshing. You know, we had some garage, we had some house, now we got some drum and bass. What I will say is the addition of a original vocal goes a long way in my books. It's so easy to grab a splice sample or a acapella from Loop Cloud and just whack it in your project. So to take the time out to write, record an original vocal, that already gets top marks in my book. Yeah, this is cool. This is really cool. I'll tell you what, we'll stop it there. Yeah, Andy, wicked track. Judas by Andy Tudor on his new album. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this. Shokunin, I believe. You'll have to let me know what that means. But yeah, cool idea, man. Really, really cool idea. Best of luck with the album as well. Releasing an album nowadays, especially in electronic music, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. We kind of live in a disposable world, right? Where like it's like, oh, here's a new release. Shelf life is super small. Here's another one. Shelf life is super small. So to release a full body of work like an album, I respect it, man. That's awesome. Overall production quality. This is difficult because this is actually a song that's out. It's part of an album. So it's hard for me to say that it doesn't feel finished because it's a finished track. But I do feel like you could have benefited maybe from spending a little bit more time on the mix down. Especially the first note in the drop section. It sounds a little bit too... It sounds a bit too deep and rugged. I don't know whether that's from the sound selection or just the way that it's been mixed, or it's kind of hard to gauge off the initial listening. I will listen to the whole album actually because I really like this concept. Like I said earlier as well, an original vocal goes a long way in my books. So yeah, that is... Yeah, that for me really does mean a lot. So yeah, really well done on that. I love the plucks. It's got a proper dance floory vibe. I think it would work in a number of different environments and set times and stuff. It's a pretty versatile track. I just don't think that it has the oomph. Like, so when I listen to people like Dimension, when I listen to people like Subfocus, their tracks, they have the weight, but they also have clarity. So it's not like you're getting the muddiness. There is a bit of muddiness in this mix. I've got to be honest, Andy. And I think that needs to be cleaned up for future releases, especially if you're making an album. I don't know how long it took you to put this whole album together, but once you've got the tunes produced, I think that there is definitely value in holding on to those for a while and getting the mix and master completely correct before releasing. Um, this track for me, it just sounds a bit muddy. It just sounds a bit muddy in the drop section. I love the plucks, I love the sounds. Sample selection on the drums, I think that the drums can hit harder, but at the same time, it's hard to make them hit harder and not muddy things up even more. So maybe consider trying some different samples. Sample selection goes a long way. Yeah, I'm a bit conflicted because I love the idea. I think that the record itself is really, really cool. It's just the technical side of things just needs a little bit of cleaning up. That's all. But again, I'm gonna give this 3.5 out of 5 zoos. Because again, that extra half a zoo stems from the original vocal. Because that goes a long, long way in my books. You've sat down with a singer-songwriter, you've written the song out, which the song is amazing, right? I love it. Say hi to Judas on the way down. That's already deeply ingrained in my psyche now. I won't be able to stop singing that. The melodic content in the vocal and stuff like that as well. It's really, really well written. Really, really well written. I just think, the technical side of the production has kind of not let it down, but like it's kind of muddied things up a little bit. What I'm going to do, Andy, thank you so much for sending that in, by the way. Go check his album out. It's out now, I believe. Shokunin by Andy Tudor. If you like your drum and bass, go and check that out. I'm going to listen to the rest of the album and hit you up, Andy, because I really like what I hear. And keep up the good work, my man. Keep up the good work, because I'm really impressed by that. That was Judas by Andy Tudor. 3.5 out of 5 zoos there. So that's it for this week's music reviews. We're going to get into a new section now, which is just a little chat about my recent cinema experience. I went to go and see Captain America Brave New World. Now, anyone who knows me knows how much I love Marvel. Not just the movies, comic books, video games, the whole shebang, animated TV series, everything. I love Marvel. In fact, I'm staring at the Avengers bursting out of my bedroom wall as we speak. Yeah. So I was super excited, obviously off the back of Deadpool and Wolverine last year. I was like, yes, Marvel's back. Marvel's back, baby. Let's go. Because it's been a turbulent few years for Marvel since Endgame. They haven't really found the same level of success as they did in their first 3 phases when they were kind of leading up to the Infinity Wars and Endgame and stuff like that. So yeah, not to say that there hasn't been good films, by the way. For me, Deadpool and Wolverine is the gold standard. I liked Ant-Man, Quantumania. A lot of people didn't like that, but I liked it. It introduced Kang, which unfortunately we're not going to get anymore. I wasn't a huge fan of the latest Thor. I thought Love and Thunder was a little bit too goofy, and I think that they've turned Thor into a joke. But Shang-Chi, that's one which again is gold standard for me when it comes to Marvel. So this one, Brave New World, Captain America. This is the first Captain America film without Steve Rogers. We've got Sam Wilson taking up the mantle. Few things I wish that I rewatched before I went and saw this film. Definitely Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and The Incredible Hulk as well. A lot of people forget that the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk film is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen Brave New World, go and rewatch Falcon and Winter Soldier, and The Incredible Hulk, and The Eternals, actually, because all 3 of those films, or all 3 of those projects, definitely kind of lead into this, or at least this film ties up or attempts to tie up some loose ends from those 3 projects. So my overall thoughts, I love the movie, right? And I'm always biased when it comes to Marvel. I really am. I am aware of that as well. And I get pulled up on that all the time by my fiance. She's always like, oh, it wasn't very good, right? And I'm like, yeah, but for me, I liked it. So yeah, I love this movie. I thought the action was great. It was amazing to see a different Captain America. Like, Sam Wilson as Captain America is very different. It's not just a carbon copy of what Steve Rogers was, as Captain America. He's doing things his own way, or at least for the first part of the movie, he's still, he's been Captain America for a while, and he's trying to find his footing and try and find his way of, doing things in that role. For me, I don't know. I feel like the trailers promised something that we didn't get, in a way. And, that might just be me. I think I was expecting a little bit more. By the way, I'm not going to get into any spoilers here. I'm not going to get into any spoilers. Anything that I talk about, you would have seen in the trailers. And if you haven't seen the trailers, well, what are you doing, man? It's a new Marvel movie. Go out and watch the trailer. Even better, go out and watch the film. So yeah, I was expecting a little bit more Red Hulk, because I think that they kind of marketed the Red Hulk to be like the big bad guy. He's not the big bad guy, and actually, I'm quite happy that they brought back a certain villain from an old project, because it was, again, that was a loose end that needed tying up. Um, I didn't think that they used that particular villain. I'm not going to say their name. I don't think that they used that particular villain the best that they possibly could, but I think that they're saving that for maybe further down the line. Who knows? Yeah, Red Hulk was amazing to see on screen, but nowhere near enough of it. Harrison Ford killed it. I think at the ripe old age of 80 or whatever he is now, Harrison Ford could easily just turn up and be like, you know what? I'm just getting paid today. That's all I'm doing. I'm just getting paid. But he really, really delivered as Thunderbolt Ross, which was previously played by, I believe, William Hurt. I think that's his name. Who did an excellent job in the role. So Harrison Ford taking up and, playing the President of the United States, an unstable President of the United States, clearly. And yeah, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really, really cool seeing him in the role. And yeah, the scenes with the Red Hulk are amazing. The new Falcon, I'm not 100% sure on. Not 100% sure on. I can't even remember his name. The character's name. Jao Torres? Is that it? I'm not too sure. Not a big fan. I thought he was just there for comic relief, but I didn't find him funny. I just found him irritating because he's just like, oh, I'm so excited to be here and doing my thing. So yeah, for me, the new Falcon does nothing for the Marvel franchise at all. Not an exciting character. There were some exciting characters and there were some exciting things happening in here. Giancarlo Esposito, he's in here. That's all I'm going to say. He's in the movie. What else can I really talk about? There's a lot of things that happen in this that, or should I say, there's a lot of things that happen in the trailer that don't happen in the movie, right? So I'm trying to tread carefully because I don't want. You know what? I'm just going to leave that there. I enjoyed the movie, right? I don't think it's perfect by any means. I don't think it is anywhere near as good as the last Marvel movie, which was Deadpool and Wolverine. But it does get me excited for what's to come. I think we've got a couple more Marvel movies coming out this year, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. I think that Marvel probably wanted to get this one out the way because it's the weakest one of the three. Not to say that it's a weak movie. I really enjoyed it, but it's not groundbreaking. There's nothing overly exciting or consequential from this movie. There's the post-credit scene kind of alludes to something that we, quite frankly, we already know. So I was a bit disappointed by that as well, but overall, I did enjoy the film. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 zoos. Yeah, good film. It hurts me to admit that it's not as good as it could be because I love Marvel movies and I always want them to come out with a W. I never want them to take any L's because whenever they have took L's in the past, everyone's like, oh, they're washed up, that's it, it's game over, blah, blah, blah. But we know that's not the case. Like, they've still got like another 5 years of like projects planned. Probably another decade, to be fair. They already know what their next phase of movies is going to be, and that's going to be based around mutants. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. What I will say is I'm very excited for the Thunderbolts. If it's anything like this, vibe-wise, then yeah, fantastic. I do really like the fact that they kind of captured the Winter Soldier kind of espionage thriller vibe in here. It's very different because Deadpool and Wolverine was a straight up comedy, let's be honest. It had action in it, but it was a comedy. And I think a lot of Marvel movies recently, Marvel projects have been guilty of kind of over humorizing every situation, and it kind of takes away from moments that should be a bit more tense. So for this to be, don't get me wrong, it's got humor in, but for this to be a bit more serious and dark, I love that tone for me fit perfectly. So yeah, Captain America Brave New World, it's out now. 3.5 out of 5 zoos. Not perfect movie, but I really enjoyed it. Now, before we get into the listener topics, I just want to let you guys know about my upcoming single, which drops on the 28th of February on Uprise Music, called Non-Stop. If you liked what's going on, you're going to like this one as well. It's fast-paced, it's hard-hitting. It's got that stereotypical Zurra sound that hopefully if you're listening to this, you should like know and enjoy by now. And yeah, it's coming out on Uprise Music, a label based in America who I've worked with many times before. I'm really excited for it. So make sure you put that date in your diary. That's all I'm going to say on it right now. I've already got a list of people who are supporting it. So you guys will see that on my socials soon enough. By the way, if you're not following me on the socials, what the hell are you doing? At @official_Zurra on Instagram. You can hit me up on TikTok at the same as well. I'm also available on every other platform, basically under @official_Zurra. But Instagram is the one where I'm building a nice little community, and I'd love for you guys to get involved in that. So that's the best place to find me. So yeah. And obviously, that's the best place to submit music and listener topics as well. So, Non-Stop by Zurra, Uprise Music, 28th of Feb. Can't wait for you guys to hear it in its entirety. And yeah, and that's about it. So, we're going to wrap the show up with the listener topics. We're going to cover 3 at the end of every episode. I believe we've got about, well, I was aiming for this to be about an hour long. So yeah, we'll try and wrap these up as quickly as possible. But I'm going to pick these at random. I've got a screenshot here. First one, if you could leave any genre in 2024, what would it be? That was sent in by Basim only. Thank you, Basim. Afro House, of course. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. I find it very boring and dull. I've been in bars and clubs, you know, on a social or playing out where people have played Afro House, and it's just, it doesn't tickle my pickle. I've got to be honest. Like, I find it really, really dull. It just lacks impact, which, is important. You know, if you're playing dance music on a big sound system, there needs to be some kind of impact, and it really just doesn't have what I'm looking for. If you like Afro House, more power to you. I love the fact that you love it, but me, I can't stand it. I would happily leave that in 2024. Just trying to think of any kind of redeeming qualities or things that I like about it, and I'm really struggling. So no, Afro House is not for me. I will say though, like, the kind of Afro House that came out in 2024 that like kind of got really popular, and you know, some of it even entered the charts. I think that Amapiano's got a lot to play, a role to play in that. The popularity of Amapiano, because a lot of this Afro House that came out last year had a lot of Amapiano influences, and I love Amapiano. I think the beats are awesome. So I wouldn't even consider a lot of the Afro House that came out last year to even be Afro House. But yeah, it just doesn't really do it for me. It doesn't do it for me. Different strokes for different folks, though. You know, it's not my thing, but I appreciate that other people might absolutely love it. But for me, let's leave that in 2024. Let's leave that in 2024. I don't want to hear any more Afro House. Number 2, wow, just got a comment here that says Star Wars by my boy Harry Hackett. Well, nice to hear from you, Harry. Yeah, that's not really a topic or a question. I suppose it is a topic, so let's get into it. Star Wars, what do you want to know? Because I could, again, this is up there with Marvel for me in terms of, like, you know, of nerdgasm, you know, fanboyism. Like, I love Star Wars. But what I don't like is the Disneyfication of Star Wars. I think that Disney's bought the rights to Star Wars and absolutely just fucked it up, quite frankly. I'm not a big fan of how they've kind of rewritten some of the canon, some of the mythology, especially to do with the Force and the Jedi and stuff like that. Like, that stuff you don't touch. George Lucas, like, created these rules and these laws in this, like, world for a reason. So, like, don't touch that. That's the guy that invented this. You know, there's fundamental things that Disney have changed about the Force, which for me, I'm just like, look, I can't fuck with this. I cannot watch this when you're changing really well established rules within this universe. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to ramble on for too long, because honestly, I could be here for a very, very long time talking about Star Wars. In fact, I might even revisit this topic on another episode, but yeah, I'm just really keeping everything crossed that the future Mandalorian movie, when that comes out, and any future Star Wars movies that do come out, you know, kind of, you know, feel like Star Wars. Because at the minute, it just feels like a cheap parody of Star Wars. That's what we're getting at the moment. But anyway, I'm not here to I'm not here to ramble on about Star Wars. But Thank you for sending that in, Harry. I hope that I hope that was enough for you to kind of sink your teeth into. And finally, we'll cover off one more topic. Pros and cons of different gigs you play, like festivals, clubs, etc. From Rachel's Fab. Hello, Rachel. Thank you for sending that in. My days. Um, yeah, this is a good topic actually. So pros and cons. I mean, festivals. We'll start with that. Festivals pros. Obviously, you get to perform to a lot of people. It's a wicked event, a really cool vibe. Once you're in the festival circuit, you know you can kind of network and stuff like that. People that work at one festival might work at another, and you can kind of develop your own like network and web of intrigue from there. So that's really cool. I think one thing that really lets festivals down is well, I don't think it lets festivals down, but I think that when you're playing at a festival, it can sometimes be a bit disheartening if you've been booked, right? And this happened to me at Forbidden Forest last year. I got booked, and my set time clashed with the headliners of all the other stages. So I basically played to no one for the first 15 minutes of my set, and I was waiting around for a long time to play this set as well. So for me, that was a bit disheartening, but then all of a sudden a bunch of people came and we had a vibe, and those people that came to see me chose to be there to listen to my set when they could have listened to Sosa, they could have listened to Headaches, they could have listened to I can't remember exactly who else was on, Patrick Toppin. They could have listened to any of those big headliners, but they came to party with me. And that was pretty cool. And don't get me wrong, there wasn't a huge amount of people there, but the people that were there were absolutely having it. So yeah, that can be quite disheartening, especially if you're brand new onto the festival circuit or you're not as established as some of the other artists. Those kind of clashes can be a little bit tricky to navigate sometimes, and you kind of got to expect to play to basically no one if you clash with a big headliner. Another con, there's like no budget. Well, there is a ridiculous budget for music festivals, and they're notorious for not making a lot of money, but there's not a budget for paying some of the younger, up and coming, supporting kind of acts. They'll happily pay the big headliners, they'll happily pay the more established artists, which, is understandable, but the people that are there supporting those more established artists, people that are warming up the stages, people that are doing a good job of keeping the party going between the bigger stages at maybe a smaller kind of micro venue at the festival, a lot of the time these guys aren't getting paid, and for me that's a big slap in the face. And you're not always given benefits, you're not always given a meal, a rider, and you're not necessarily always looked after at festivals. Sometimes they just give you an artist wristband, but all that means is you can use a toilet that's backstage. So I think that with the size, with the budgets that these big events and festivals have, you can at least afford to give the supporting, the warm up artists, the up and coming, competition winners or whatever. You can give them something. You can give them something because they're just as important as your big headliners. But the pros obviously outweigh the cons when it comes to festivals because it's just a vibe. You have the best time. And yeah, it's just amazing. The production value, everything like that, sound system, being outside, not always the best in Britain. But yeah, for me, you can't beat a music festival. You cannot beat playing at a music festival. It's the best. And club nights, I think that they're more consistent because they happen more frequently. Club nights are happening every single weekend. They're happening multiple times a week, throughout the week as well. So they have a more consistent revenue stream, which means that they're more likely to be able to pay a decent fee for your services. So that's a massive, massive pro. The con is that not everyone that goes to these club nights is there for the right reason. We have a bit of a culture in the UK where people can go out for a number of reasons. People might want to go out to pool. People might want to go out to, get into a fight. And then you get the people that want to go out and enjoy some music and actually have a good time without really intruding on anyone else's kind of night, But the club nights, for whatever reason, they don't attract the same crowd as festivals. Festivals, I feel like you can have a good time and not worry too much about your own safety, but club nights you get knobheads all the time. Like I mentioned in my review of Common Room Bath, there was only one knobhead there, and I said that was quite surprising, and that was actually quite good because usually there's a lot of knobheads at bar and club events. So that's something that you have to navigate sometimes. It can be a little bit tricky. Yeah, the clientele not always the best at club nights, but you got to respect the ones that are there, having a good time and there for the right reasons. It's just a small percentage of people that really do let the rest of them down. Um, so yeah, pros would be there's definitely always a budget to get paid. They're more consistent, so you can play every single weekend. And a lot of venues they have a really cool production value as well now. Like just trying to think, your O2 academies and stuff like that. Your circuits, which used to be called Prism. Don't get me wrong, not my favorite place on the planet, but you can appreciate the production value. There's a great venue called SWX in Bristol as well. So, these places are starting to invest in the overall production now, which is great. But the small bars that don't have that budget, they can still, pay you a reasonable amount for your services. They might not have the production value, but they have their own vibe and stuff like that. So I really like that as well. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Rach. I kind of feel like I rambled on about, completely irrelevant things then, but yeah, it's a really interesting question, and actually one that I'm going to I'm probably going to look to ask some of my guests that come on this show, because I think that it's really interesting to get other people's views on that. Festivals for me are like, the gold standard. There is a budget. There is definitely money there to pay everyone. I know that there is. So that's the only thing that really lets it down. And then obviously, like clashing set times, you might have travelled 4 hours, which I did for Forbidden Forest, to then play to no one. So you do run that risk as well. But yeah, we managed to pick things up at Forbidden Forest, but not everyone is as lucky. So yeah, those were the 3 listener topics for this week's episode. So we're going to wrap things up there. It's been the first episode of Zoo's Reviews. I just want to recap some of the things that we reviewed earlier in the show. So Common Room Bath, my most recent performance, wicked venue. The vibe was just so right from start to finish. 4 out of 5 zoos for the Common Room. Then we went into the music review. So we had a dub from Contrukt. That was About Damn Time by Lizzo. We gave that 3 out of 5 zoos. A really wicked foundation to build on, Contrukt. So yeah, keep up the good work, my man. Jude Specter's collab with BXN coming out on Cease and Desist, titled Break It Down. We gave that 4 out of 5 zoos. Really well produced. So yeah, really excited to hear more. And Andy Tudor, off his latest album, we listened to Judas, which got 3.5 out of 5 zoos. Yeah, wicked track once again. So thank you ever so much to everyone who sent music in. If you're a producer and you want to send music, hit me up on the socials at @official_Zurra. Send me your links and I will feature them in the show. I've had a lot of really good submissions so far, so if I don't get round to it in the first few episodes, don't be disheartened. I will get round to everyone eventually. It's just my inbox has been bombarded. So it's going to take a while to get through everyone's tunes, but yes, please do send them across. Captain America Brave New World, Zoos Reviews, I'm going to rate it 3.5 out of 5 zoos. Good movie, nothing groundbreaking, but yeah, it still, leaves me excited for what's going to come next, basically. And there you have it. We've wrapped up episode 1. Easy as that. I haven't really thought of an outro just yet, to be honest, but I think the easiest way to wrap up the episode is just to say goodbye. And obviously, thank you for listening to me waffle on for the last hour. As the channel continues to grow on YouTube and Spotify and wherever else I can get it, I don't really know how podcasts work, so I suppose that gives me a little bit of homework between recording it and actually uploading it. But wherever it ends up, anyway, the more it grows, the more interesting guests I'll be able to get on further down the line. So I've already got people lined up from the world of radio, music, TV, comedy. So we've got some really interesting people lined up. And I can't wait for you to hear those conversations. This past hour, you've heard me talking absolute crap to myself in my bedroom. But in future, the conversations will be different. We'll be getting a lot of different points of view from a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. So I'm very excited to continue with this. So thank you very much for tuning in. And I will catch you on the next episode. Take care.